there and welcome to Lorena's Labyrinth today. My name is Anna, in case you're new to the channel, and basically I'll be delivering a video today on the angel Phanuel, who is the angel of hope, as I stall over my words. Sorry to be a bit robotic. Okay, firstly, I may be interrupted today, so there may be some inconsistencies with the volume, and this is because of the little puppy that I've got. So I do apologise, and I thank you in advance for your patience. Just in case the quality of this recording is interrupted. But before we get into the video, I just want to say not only thank you for joining me today, but also to remind you, I invite you to put your own experiences up, to make comments. If you've got questions, please write a question. Other people might have a response to it. They might have some more insight other than my own experiences and understandings. And the other thing is too, that if you do write a comment, tag me if you expect me to respond. I do read the comments. I will generally respond, and sometimes I may respond on the Sunday yarning. Now, the first thing is too, that when it comes to the artworks that are on these videos, for instance, this picture that you can see here is one that I've created with AI. Now, of course, when it comes to angels, they don't really have these big white wings that with feathers that we see, but their auras are more elongated than a human aura, and they do have a bit of a winged aspect to them. But of course, we're talking about light bodies. So I like to use feathers in the images that I portray, but of course I wouldn't truly expect to see an angel, if your clairvoyant skills are developed to that, in the way where they have these white feathery wings, unless of course you put it out to the universe that this is what you want them to do, because they will comply with your needs. They will certainly seek to support you and make you feel comfortable with whatever it is that you need or want when connecting with angels. So the first thing to understand about Phanuel being the angel of hope is, in the first instance, not only is there the matter of the feathers that I've brought to your attention, but also I have depicted Phanuel as a male, whereas other people might perceive him to be female. And this is because when it comes to the angels, most of them will present, well, they're genderless anyway. You don't need to have gender unless you're procreating, and this is not how the angels are created. They are divine creations and they remain as spirit, so they don't actually reproduce as humans do. So there's no need for a female or male if I can speak, physiology. But at the same time, while they may not have gender as we know it, they certainly come with either female or feminine, what we call feminine energy, or masculine energy. And when we talk about Phanuel, I perceive him to be masculine with his energy. Hope is extremely powerful, and this is actually his goal of creation, to empower you by overcoming your fears and your fragmentation. You will know yourself that when you feel hopeless, you feel completely disempowered and usually a victim of the universe or other people. Now, when we combine hope with faith, this is the powerful force for change. Hope is the assumption that what we desire is not just possible, but also achievable. So Phanuel's goal is to ignite the power of hope through creating sensations of a deep feeling of trust in the divine, our creator, and that the knowledge that whatever is unfolding throughout our experience is for our greatest or highest good, and that the creator loves all of us, and we would be well advised to hold faith in this love and to follow our guidance and the inspirational messages and actions that we receive that take us towards walking our divine plan or our divine path. And this involves stepping into our individual divine power as one of this greater pool. Now, it's no mistake, I consider, that Phanuel is associated with the yellow chakra, because this is where our personal power is actually centered. That's a little bit debatable. I might do a video on the chakras again and explain why I believe that the yellow chakra is a personal power. It's where we step into this space of hope, faith, and trust, and step away from feeling weak and weak without strength, basically, and it's sort of the yellow chakra, and Phanuel actually helps to build courage to overcome any limiting concepts that we might feel at a personal or core level. So the other thing about Phanuel is that he is actually one of the Golden Light Angels. They belong to the Golden Light Order of the angelic hierarchy. Now, I do have videos up about the angelic hierarchy, and I know that with the video Stamira, I've really gone into the differences of what we call a white light angel and what we call a golden light angel. There are similarities, of course. The best way to describe it is that the golden light angels are really focused on the power of emotions, and they have a very strong energy of passion, which is also called Kundalini, and they are able to undulate to the rhythms of life. Their emotional energy that they bring with them can be very, very intense when we first interact with them, and it can even be overpowering at times. So, just to put this into perspective, golden light angels are there. A lot of people don't believe, or they struggle to believe, that emotions have relevance to life. They try and use the power of their mind to control their thoughts, their direction of their thoughts, and this kind of thing, which is extremely important as well when we talk to having a balance and a harmony within ourselves. But we cannot ignore the aspects of emotion. So the golden light angels, they kind of balance out the thought and the feelings aspect, because it is actually through emotions that we can step into this power and activate change through directing feelings and emotions into positive directions. Bit of a stumbling over words, but you will know within yourself that when you feel enraged, as an example, you get a massive adrenaline rush and you're actually able to achieve great feats that you might not normally be able to accomplish unless you became angry enough to do it. So in many ways, it's about addressing this imbalance that we have, particularly at this social time, where we're taught that feelings like anger are negative and heavy, which they can be, but they are so important as emotions go, especially to creating change. So this is what the golden light angels do. They bring passion to any situation to be able to shift the obstacles so that we can step into the power and peace that is ours by divine right. Phanuel explains that when we lose hope, at the best we can become basically emotionally numb. We can feel frozen or trapped in undesirable circumstances. And this leads to doubt, depression, and a belief that healing will never occur, that rescue isn't possible, and that life is futile. And this can take us down a really dark pathway of despair where we feel powerless within our circumstances. But the reminder from him is that this is a limitation. It's a restriction of our ego, our small self, and a limitation of our thoughts and thinking, that salvation is actually possible, and it starts with a feeling that needs to be expressed. Now, if hopelessness remains unchecked and where we deny this emotional expression, then parts of the aura will start to lose their vibration. This means that they will fail to be able to absorb and produce light, and a person starts to become or feel as though they're barely alive. Basically, it sucks out your life essence. If you've ever turned around and said, that they suck the life force out of me, this is what happens when we're starting to lose our power and losing hope and faith. Now, I want to make a point, because I've done my studies in social work. This is Anna's little contribution here to this, that I am well aware that when it comes to people with end-of-life desires, where they want to take back their power, and this is the final power, at the end of the day, there is enough evidential research attached to the fact that this desire is based on a complete loss of hope. It's where they have no hope and faith left that things will change, and that they are stuck in their situations. So I think this scientific research actually evidences the message here, that we must do the emotional expression to open ourselves up, to be able to experience the essence of the divine, and to reclaim our power. So within this context, Phanuel explains that anger is the salvation. Rather than being this dirty word where we should repress it, the anger needs to be released as part of reclaiming our personal power. And there is fear that underpins hopelessness, and this needs to be extended, um, into perhaps terror or a sense of rage at the hopelessness, not at people, not at things, okay? At this feeling of hopelessness. And it's a matter of creating a safe space to release this rage that lies within you or me or us. Around the situation that has led to your despair, and to release it in a way where you can really throw yourself into this emotional expression. So, to put this into context, it's a bit like, you can sit there and go like, I'm really angry, insipid like, or you can really throw yourself into that anger like a 2-year-old having a tantrum. And this is the whole point, because it is the emotions that create this vibration. So if it's an angry release, put your heart into it, throw yourself into it. 2-year-olds, little kids, they do not care, right? They don't care what people think of them. They're too caught up in this actual emotional expression. Now, as adults, of course, we've got to be able to function within the world. So it's absolutely not acceptable in a social setting to really throw yourself into this rage. So this is why we say create a safe space for the release. In ways that your anger and rage can remain personal. Now, this could be going and visiting a therapist, or going into a wide open space where nobody else is around. I know within my perspective, I actually have gone bush. It's what we call in Australia, we go bush. And, just being able to scream or let it out, So he makes the point that rather than being a negative emotion, anger is actually a driver of behavior, and it is a true power when it is harnessed and directed positively. That was what I was trying to say before. Thank God I've got notes. Anyway, you will know, and I kind of touched on this before, I got ahead of myself. You will know that when you have become enraged in the past, there will have been times when you were so fired up that you do rapid, fast-track change. And sometimes it is divinely guided. I mean, impulse is separate, but, it could be that you've been considering ending a job for a long time because it's no longer healthy for you. You're aware of it and you haven't taken the actions. Well, there will be something that will fire you up and you just go, bang, that's enough. Change happens today, and you will resign your job. I had a friend, very feminine, dainty little female friend, and she was telling me about a situation where she was so enraged at something. She wasn't a risk to anybody at all, but it actually gave her the physical strength to do things that she could not normally do. But because she was so angry and furious, the adrenaline came in and it basically helped her to move mountains in her life. So back to Phanuel's advice here. He says that our body is wired to respond to heightened fear with this fight or flight response. The evidence would support that as well if we look at science. And however, his solution is when we are feeling hopeless, the cure is about becoming angry enough to step into our power to create the changes so that we can once again hold hope for the future, because change starts with us. So part of the guidance includes recognizing that you might actually have become so numb yourself, or you're not ready to throw yourself into a rage or anger as a means of release. And this is something that you can reflect on. Now, just be kind to yourself through this, okay? It's okay not to be ready to release these really limiting, restrictive emotions in a powerful way. All things will happen at the right time in the divine way. So if you're not at the explosion point where you get this adrenaline rush, but you're stuck in numbness, just be aware that fear can disguise itself. This can be feeling nothing or leaving you feeling paralyzed and powerless. This is fear, okay? Now, an activity that you can do to identify just how much fear is controlling your life is by asking yourself a couple of questions, and I'll read them out to you. Are you afraid of saying how you feel? Do you remain quiet and not express your feelings? And if so, why do you do that? Do you feel unsafe or frightened of what people might say or do or think of you if you were to tell the truth express the truth of how you feel, certainly within certain situations or those situations that are bothering you. Now, is it difficult as well to be honest with yourself and admit that actually you are frightened of being a powerful person? You might actually know within yourself that you are powerful, but you're too scared to step into it. Or are you frightened? I mean, this is a classic of connecting with the power of the eternal and the angels, because that can be a bit scary to start with as well. You know, this whole thought of tapping into this energy. I can give you a bit of a personal experience with that as well. Do you spend time feeling sorry for yourself and wallowing in self pity? Do you store and hold feelings of worthlessness, that somehow you're not important enough or that your feelings don't matter? These are all things that you can be asking yourself, because these are the areas where fear masks itself. Now, just a little thought here, I'm going to give it to you in advance, is that when I first started connecting with angels, I recognized that fear was a barrier for me. I was wanting it so badly. I was so wanting to connect with the angels and the Creator, but I was so frightened too that in the end I got angry. There you go. I got angry with myself and my weaknesses, and I actually basically told the universe that if I asked and invoked them and I knew logically and rationally that I wanted to connect with the angels, then as far as I was concerned, I didn't give a rat's if they were to drag me by my etheric hair to the higher vibration so that I could fully experience the angels and the divine. So that's just a useful tip for you, because I will actually say that worked. Okay. It was after I put that out there, I had probably the most incredible experience of my life, but that's private. I'm not going to tell you that one. So Phanuel goes a little bit further and he gives us the information that, you know, fear has a purpose. It's got a job, and this is why we have it. And its job is to protect our body. It's a base survival instinct. It's reflexive, and it is to protect against injury as part of us being able to sustain our lives, but not just our life, but also the species, okay? So he also explains that some fear just isn't necessary. Other fears, such as anxieties, these are products of our own thoughts of limitation. And as we clear out the past irrelevant fears, we will be able to replace this fear with a new sense of awareness, discretion, and understanding. Now, he also says most people are terrified of their own emotional responses, especially if they are the consequences of misunderstandings or past unpleasant experiences. So, just a reminder here, if the fears that you have are based around thoughts of limitation or potential emotional pain or whatever, they're probably irrelevant. But I will leave you to think about that, okay? Because its fear's purpose is to support, if I can speak, is to support our physical life. So Phanuel also shares wisdom with us, which offers insight and understanding actually to the experiences and how problems are compounded when we allow terror and fear of our undesirable feelings to consume us. It becomes or leads to a fragmentation within us. If you've got to this point, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because you actually can feel it. So what he says is we're encouraged to heal this fragmentation as part of our current life plan. Those parts that remain, if I can talk, bear with me, that remain unfragmented, they're going to go into future lives for us to heal, because they will need to be expressed at some point in time. But, you know, we only have one life. Frankly, best to try and get through as much of it, I think, in this life as we can, rather than carrying stuff over to future lives, which is what he says, that until we consolidate these fragments, we're going to continue to, I guess, feel less than whole is the best way to explain it. So there are actually activities that we can do to call back the fragments of our soul. I think, so I'm running off the script here, I'm going off script with this bit, is I've spoken to a lot of Aboriginal people who've got this intergenerational trauma, also people that have experienced trauma. They actually feel, or it's been said to me, that they feel that there's a break and a split within them and they are no longer whole. Something will happen and it's like, you know, I'm now a broken person. Well, the point is that we heal and we refragment and we pull all the parts of ourselves back together. And Phanuel explains that as we consolidate these fragments, this healing will occur where we raise our consciousness and our awareness. That basically any of the really deep fears and terrors that lie within us, they're going to be exposed. So basically the message here is just call upon the Creator and Phanuel for healing of the fragments. The other thing to be aware of too is that when we have a fragmented aura, shall we say, or whatever, these fragments can actually float and go into others. So by that, I think if you don't have anxiety yourself or you didn't have it, you might be aware through your associations that you pick up on the energy of other people who have got anxiety. This is an example of how fragments can transfer into others. And we are talking energy, and we're talking about not deliberate actions, just things that happen when we don't, I guess, take responsibility for our own aura and our own energy centers. So I just want to recap here because I went off down a rabbit pathway or whatever it's called, that basically heal what you can in this lifetime. Heal what you can. It's going to improve the quality of your life. If you've allowed yourself to become fragmented, now's the time to call the fragments back. Now's the time to heal them. Now is the time to call upon the Creator and Phanuel to get as much healing done in this life as you can. So just to put this into perspective, when we talk about the transfer of energy, as I say, it's not deliberate, but I think it's really good to look at the family unit for this. If you don't have children yourself, you can perhaps reflect upon your own childhood or whatever. So children, this is basically Phanuel's guidance. Our children take on board the emotions we were carrying at the time of their conception, and they take on the emotional feelings of the father and the mother. Now, if there were emotions that were fear-based, perhaps the mother was suffering from anxiety, then fear is going to be reflected in their personal structure at a core level. Now, I will make the point of saying that if we know anything about science and schemotherapy and neuropathy, we will know that science has actually supported this comment. Now, just so you know, I became aware of these messages well before science was supporting them, shall we say. Anyway, modern science has evidence that during the gestational period, if a mother suffers from anxiety, the unborn baby responds to this anxiety and its own brain schema is going to be developed to respond to anxiety, or respond with anxiety to stresses, if you like. So the idea is that in this current time frame, if you heal yourself, as you heal yourself, your child is also going to miraculously heal. In the same way that your own brain schema has been formed based on your conception, and what was happening with your own parents, and your own mother during pregnancy and in the early formative years, this is going to have influenced you on the way you experience and process fear and stresses, and how you manage your uncomfortable emotions until you heal them. Now, to be clear, not all childhood experiences are going to be negative. If you've had, well, they all contain challenges, let's be real. But this is all part of the creation of who and what we are towards becoming adults. So another thing to take on board as well is if you've got tense relationships with your own parents and your siblings, you can kind of expect that as you go through this process of healing, that your relationships with them will also undergo a transformation. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean a reconnection, okay? I can say this based on my own experience because obviously I'm like everybody else. I've had family tensions. What I have noticed is that my own feelings towards these relationships are no longer painful. Can we reconnect? Well, that depends on the other person. We can't control everything around our lives, and we're not responsible for other people's feelings, actually. But would I be able to interact with them? Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a problem with them. If they've got a problem with me, that's fine. We're all on our own individual journeys, and we all need to work to be able to heal and transform the pain and the anger and the suffering inside of us to turn it into love. Phanuel explains that barriers to healing is the belief that emotional expression and release is irrelevant, that it's futile or it's hopeless or whatever, because thoughts like that, they're going to delay the healing or they're going to block the healing experience completely. And there's going to be a continuation of unpleasant or undesirable experiences as part of supporting these self-defeating beliefs, because it is a form of self-sabotage to turn around and go, oh, it's not worth it, okay? Other barriers can include holding the beliefs that every day is a struggle to be alive. Now, this can be due to illness, poverty, or the behaviour of other people, and even self-loathing. So Phanuel basically says, you can end this vicious cycle of pain through courage and perseverance. Now, I would put just another little note on here, because obviously I'm vocalizing, that when we talk about a belief that releasing emotions is futile or hopeless, I want to bring this back just temporarily to the fact that sometimes when it's about other people, another barrier can be if they are unwilling to have that conversation with you, to allow for a full open expression and communication, in which case, yes, those relationships are going to continue perhaps to be estranged. As I said, if there's no reconnection, you just can't talk. But there is actually things that you can do on an energetic level, and you can make peace energetically and emotionally despite forms of estrangement that we have on the earth plane. If you're interested in knowing how or why, make a comment on the video, because it's actually to do with telepathy, and I might even share an amazing experience that I had many years ago that confirmed to me that it actually works. But anyway, moving on. So, the blessings that we get, just a reminder before we close out, the wisdom of Phanuel is that the blessings that we receive is that as we heal these parts of ourselves that we consider to be loathsome, as we change our beliefs and our perceptions, we will definitely start to observe these changes in the lives, in our life, certainly through the way people reflect back at us, the love that we start to hold within us. You will start. Actually, I've got to be careful because this is YouTube. You will observe potentially improvements in ailments. He, of course, says, yes, you will. You will notice illness improving, and if work has been a problem for you and money is a concern, his guidance is that as you heal and raise your personal vibration, and you will find new jobs, new opportunities, new work, and people that were previously threatening or dangerous towards you will remove themselves from your lives, or they will be removed, and the world will feel less dangerous for you. And he basically says, as you strive continually and persevere to heal these fragments of yourself through this emotional expression and release, you're going to develop a more expanded awareness, and you will also awaken an ancient imprint within you, which will release at such a depth of your being that you will evolve to the higher consciousness. And any thoughts, beliefs, and feelings of separation from the Creator and the eternal self, they're going to be obliterated, which sounds absolutely amazing. And you will finally be free and liberated to experience this really deep, loving embrace of the Creator and the angelic realm. And that certainly would be an incentive for me. In fact, I'm going to say that certainly was an incentive to me to be able to connect with my own angelic forces, if you say, light support team, I like to call it. So, as always, I've put up a couple of invocation strategies here to guide you towards creating your own, and also to give you a couple of options. And you can do all three of them, or as many as you want at the one time, if you feel that there's a number of areas that you want to work on and heal. And now, just a reminder too, always when you invoke the angels, call upon the Creator first, followed by the angel that you're trying to work with, which today we're talking about Phanuel. Or you could turn around and say, I call upon Creator, my guardian angel, and the angel Phanuel, angel of hope. You would introduce it that way, and you would always close out your invocation with gratitude, of course. Now, just a reminder, the reason we finish any invocation, personally, I think it's about respect and acknowledgement and validation. You know what I mean? Just it's a good trait to have. from one human to the next. But when we're doing these kinds of activities, we are talking about energy as well. So from an energetic perspective, gratitude is considered to be one of the ascension attitudes that is vital to raising your own personal vibration. So this is one of the reasons why we would close out an invocation with gratitude, and the awareness and recognition too. So just a reminder, the more grateful we are, the more gratitude we hold in our heart, this will energetically whoa, I suppose it could attract more blessings toward you and more miracles, because you're raising and elevating your own vibration. And remember, like attracts like. So you're going to have a lot more abundance of positive experiences in your life as you start to feel gratitude at a core level. So, my friends, I just want to thank you for hanging in there with me today, and actually for being patient. I'm not sure if it came through on the audio. I'm not actually going to listen to it all again. I get sick of the sound of my own voice. But yes, I did have to stop and start a couple of times to address the puppy. But either way, thank you for being part of my journey. I hope that you have found the information useful. If you've got questions, as I say, leave a comment, ask a question. If you haven't got a question, you just want to leave a comment, please do so. All comments are welcome. In the meantime, I'm going to say thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Catch you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.